So, truth number one, though, that you need to understand is that your partner is even more terrified of birth than you are, especially if they are male, because they have not only grown up in that whole culture of fear with the medical system, and you've been taught all your life to just listen to the doctor knows more than you. And this might be their first baby, or they might have already seen you traumatized once or twice. They saw what happened. For them, you have to recognize, even though you might have experienced birth trauma, or they might have heard it from other people, if this is your first baby, that has an effect on them. Them seeing you in pain and fear, if they love you, they don't actually want that. So for you to say to your partner, say, like, this is what happens with some of my clients, is that they had 2 C-sections. They were basically robbed of their true natural birth experience. I got one of my clients to a level where she's like, I can do this and I'm going to have an unassisted birth. But her partner was still a little hesitant because he had already seen the first time she'd been induced and they ended up having a C-section. The OB basically threw the scrubs at him, said, "Get up, dad, we're doing a C-section." They'd been quite young. And he saw that trauma and he saw what that did to her. And he's like, I don't want that again. So he was like, I am going to support you in getting what you want, but I'm also scared because what if the cord's around the neck? What if like you bleed out? Like he had those fears. And the thing is that when you don't understand physiological birth, true natural birth, that can be really a block because they think that something's wrong. In fact, one of my friends and mentors, again, like she had a home birth, but her partner had been scared and thinking, no, we need to have a hospital birth. She used that same tactic because it is like this is powerful to get him on board with the home birth. And he's like, yes, home birth is the way to go for being able to have more agency and to become more connected in that relationship and more connected to your baby. And what my client had said after, when she and her partner, when they had the baby, was not only did we save $30,000 by working with you, but we were able to reclaim our experience because of the fact that the first 2, we were robbed of it. We were robbed of this. Like, he didn't get to hold either of his sons, but he got to catch the last one. So your partner starts off, they're more terrified of birth. And I'm going to show you how to get them out of their fear. That's why I started with getting you out of yours, because in order for you to help your partner and understand that they have their own fears and concerns, you need to be resourced enough to be like, okay, I am the birth visionary here. I am the one that needs to enroll my partner into this. And I also need to make space for their fears. If you can't hold your own emotions, you can't be with his. That is something that my mentor and friend Annie Lala talks about in her content when it comes to being a relationship leader. Is like, you need to be able to handle your own emotions so you can be with his. Because if your partner is male, they have been taught not to honor their fears. They are not allowed to be afraid. So they might not voice this to you, but it will look like resistance. I'm not comfortable with a home birth. What if something goes wrong? They can't tell you, I'm actually afraid and I need you to work through this with me so that I can be okay with this. But this is your birth and you're the one who's leading this. You crumble under the pressure and give in. You're giving up on your dream. Your partner never gets to step into that role. And you're going to have resentment, especially if something happens and it's like, if only I had been able to have a home birth, but my partner never let me have one. And I have the secret resentment of him for that. It can really erode your marriage and your sex life. And you just don't want to do it. Not only that, but he would also be carrying that guilt, or they would carry that guilt. And they'd be like, I pushed them into this and they were right. We should have stayed home. So even though I had issues with my former partner, there was still that feeling of like, we could have had a home birth and now she's even more shattered because of this. So recognizing it's not just a day And it's not just about safety. This is about your actual birth experience. And in order to have that connected relationship, sometimes we need to manipulate the situation for the greater good of the relationship in the future, because you don't want to erode that trust. And that trust is eroded when you go and crumble. So, as a relationship, you need to be two wings on one bird, is also, if you really want to go deeper into this, of how you want to have a connected, conscious relationship and have that basically fight less, better sex. And even when you fight, it's not ugly. Like you actually get closer after that, then definitely check out Annie Lala's stuff. She's does a lot of conflict resolution. She does a lot of enrolling people into the dream. And like this is just what she's taught me has changed my life in terms of even how I show up as a mother to my kids and how I'm able to enroll my children into their higher level of themselves. Like my son is getting these tools every time I teach him, and I'm like, like he's making dinner for me. So if you want your kid when they get older to be more responsible and think for themselves and to love their life and to take that responsibility, and you don't have to nag at them, then this is again going to help you with that. So the thing, as I said, is your partner grew up in the same birth culture you did. If they're afraid, it's because not only have they been taught birth is scary, they're also not exposed to outside information as you are. But that doesn't mean you bombard them with books and videos and try to change their mind. You can't actually change from the outside when the internal, as you recognize when you were dealing with your fears and cognitive dissonance, I talked about in the module before this, when you're dealing with those, it doesn't matter how much outside information you have. It's not going to change your internal dialogue of what you're telling yourself, because it's just like, yeah, but the doctor knows more. So even though you have all this information, I still think that we need to go over here because I have all these fears and those aren't being addressed. So you want to address those fears.